Hi guys. It just came to my mind out of nowhere to kind of talk about how when things don't go our way, it's actually for like a really good reason. You know, from my own personal experience, um, well, really, I can start with like childhood. So, like in my childhood, sadly, before I could turn like one, my parents they actually got divorced. So I wasn't really around my dad, um, and my mom she worked pretty hard, so I really was really around her, and just me being a little kid and not really being able to have them how I wanted them. You know, um, in a way, it kind of pushed me to like want to cling to people. You know, and in the process of me like clinging to people, like y'all know how I mentioned like with the empty cup. If we're coming from this very like empty cup, it's just we don't care who we cling to. We don't care what's being served, you know. And it comes from this place of desperation, from us wanting to have what we didn't have, maybe as children, you know. And I had always told myself like I was gonna have a family, like that was like my way of having a complete life, to have my own family. I have my kids and their dad, we be together. That was my definition of being whole and complete. That was my definition of living an abundant life, and I genuinely didn't feel as if I would be complete unless I had a man and children, you know. So moving forward, whenever um, I actually did have children, I have two daughters. Y'all know that, And honestly, this whole time I fought to keep me and their dad together, and I just kept asking the universe. I'm like, why is this so hard? Like it's simple. We just be together. We be a family. Like it's not hard. I'm not asking for too much. And I fought the whole process, even whenever I probably shouldn't have, but I still had instilled in me what I taught myself, which is that to be whole and complete, I needed my family together. I needed, their dad and me together. That was my definition still of happiness. That was still my definition of being whole and complete, So whenever he was not around, I would be like very distraught and very sad, and I would just be very distracted from like what I like basically like my life purpose, like how I have this YouTube channel and it's thriving now and things of that nature. You know, Up until now, I've just like if me and him weren't okay, I would basically like just fall off of my own path, you know, and I would have no desire to basically like follow my passions. Like everything was just gloomy without him. And it's crazy because before my grandmother passed, she had really pushed on to me like you really need to be out on your own. You really need to experience it. And in my mind, you know, I was kind of hesitant at first. I'm like, well, I don't know if their dad is going to be with me or not. I don't know if our family is going to be together or not. I kind of don't want live alone or be alone, you know. But she's like, don't you worry about that. You just, you go ahead and do what you have to do, and maybe he'll come along afterwards, you know. So it's like literally, it's almost as if Spirit kind of had to trick me into independence and trick me into living a whole life by myself with the lie that I might end up back with him. It's almost as if I had to be bribed, you know. Well, if you do this, if you get your own car, your own house, maybe it'll work out, So this whole time I was chasing the relationship or chasing to have him back, but in the process, I ended up becoming stable. In the process, I ended up being able to stand on my own 2 feet. And in the process, I ended up becoming whole and complete on my own, and I didn't even try to, you know. But yeah, so I came out here and I was really excited. I was happy. I'm like, yay. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, so, where's my family? I achieved this milestone, so surely I can have my family together, you know. So I fought and I fought and I fought. And it's like each time it didn't work, I just got more and more discouraged. But it's crazy because I still found like some type of motivation. I really think it was from my first daughter, my oldest daughter at the time, because I didn't have my youngest daughter until about I didn't get pregnant with her. Well, I didn't find out I was pregnant with her until about 2, 3 months moving into here, you know. And yeah, so when I came out here, um, that was around the time my grandmother had actually passed, you know, and I felt like she lived long enough to see me stand on my own 2 feet, and it's crazy because, like, in my mind, the way things should have been, like what I wanted to happen, was to have my family together, be with their dad, and, just live a happily ever after life. That's what I wanted. That's the path that I wanted, you know. But I'm seeing now that if I did have my way, I wouldn't have any time or any desire to like share my messages. I would have no desire to, you know, do what I do. I would be distracted. Like right now, instead of, having this for y'all to listen to, I would probably be in the bed with him, like right now, like laying down, either washing his clothes, like doing something that involves him instead of focusing on myself and focusing on this channel and helping other people, So it's kind of like, in a way, me not getting my way or going on the path that I wanted to go down. It's almost as if I ended up finding myself, and I wasn't even trying to. I wasn't trying to be a strong person. I wasn't trying to be, out on my own. And it's crazy because a lot of people, it's like they look at like how strong I am, but like I really didn't want this, you know. I didn't want to have to be, you know, to myself. I didn't want to have to be, you know, this strong figure. I really didn't want this, you know. But a lot of times we don't get to control what our purpose is. We don't get to control how God uses our vessel, you know. We don't get to control that. And I feel like it's like I feel like my purpose is to show people that like you can thrive by yourself, and that you're whole and complete by yourself. Yesterday I had a little minute away from my daughters, and I went to the park by myself, and I looked at the trees, and um, a lot of people don't know this about me, but when I look at trees, um, they have a very deep meaning to me because my name Alana, it actually means tree in Hebrew, oak tree. And when I see trees, most people, I got to thinking to myself, most people, they look at trees and they don't think nothing much about them. They just see that they're strong, they're tall, they're standing, and they're beautiful. They don't see, you know, they don't see the storms that the trees have made it through. I'm trying not to cry about it. I cried about it yesterday, so I thought I got all the tears out, but they're still kind of here a little. But people don't see the hurricanes, the tornadoes, the earthquakes that these trees have survived, the strong winds. People don't see that, you know. They don't see that. All they see is that the trees, they're standing strong, they're there, they're very grounded, you know. And something else that I noticed is that there's no one tree that's leaning on the other one. Each and every last tree, it stands on its own, and they're all very unique. They're all very different. You know, um, I think the trees that I saw were, I think willow trees, pine trees. I forgot, but they all looked different. Although they were the same, they all were very different, and they all stood alone, and they all stood tall and confidently. Even the trees that had like a little lump in it, like they still stood strong. They still, stood tall. Like you don't look at trees and you think like, oh, you're by yourself. You must be lonely out here. Like, no, the trees, they're thriving every day. They're growing. They have very long um, lifespans, you know. And something else that I realized about the trees is that they provide us with oxygen. They provide us with shade for like places for people to like lean on and stuff like that. And it's crazy because I was being goofy in the shower and I was singing Lean on Me, you know? And I am that person that people lean on, they talk to, things of that nature, But I think sometimes people forget that, you know, I'm human too. Sometimes I forget it. I forget that I'm human, because it's rare that you'll ever really catch me leaning on somebody. Like, I try not to, you know. But yeah. But me running this YouTube channel and just everything that I've accomplished up until now, I really didn't want to do this alone. I didn't want to be a single mom. I didn't want to be that strong voice for people. I wanted to be somewhere happily in a relationship with their dad, and married. That's what I wanted, but, I can't even say that's what I wanted. That's what I felt like I needed. I felt like, I needed him. I felt like I needed my family together to be happy, you know, and it's crazy because my daughters, like I have girls, so I know they'll grow up with my mentality or they'll grow up to be somewhat like me. And I do want them to know that whether their dad is here or not, they still, can grow up and be whole by themselves. So They've been a really big part of how I've been able to stay strong, you know, and yeah, because I wouldn't want them growing up and being crazy over no dude and just feeling like they can't accomplish things. Like, I wouldn't want them to grow up feeling like that. I want them to know whether your dad is here or not, whether you have a man or not, you are whole and complete by yourself. You can accomplish very good things. You still can be like a tree and stand strong and tall by yourself, you know. But yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to um, talk about this topic that came to my mind. You know, how the things that don't happen our way is really for a good reason. You know, you okay? Hey, yeah, if that dad was here, I wouldn't, I wouldn't even be recording this right now. What time is it? It's 11:54. Yeah, I would probably be in the bed with him right now, probably eating or just laying down talking, being distracted. This message, it wouldn't get out, you know, and I wouldn't be the vessel to tell people that you're whole and complete by yourself. I wouldn't be able to tell anybody that because, you know, I wouldn't be whole and complete by myself. So it's like I had to learn that tough lesson that, you know, we are whole and complete alone. But it's like in the process of us learning that um, it's very complicated, you know, because for us to learn that we're whole and complete by ourselves, the universe puts us by ourselves, meaning that we lose friends, we lose family members, we lose certain connections, or we go through divorces, breakups, you know, very traumatic situations that push us, you know, in this area by ourselves. You know, when we first get in this area by ourselves, it's very lonely, you know, and it's very dark, it's very gloomy, you know. But it's like the main thing that really helped me was one, inspirational quotes, funny videos, my daughters, you know, because I remember one day my oldest daughter, I was pregnant, and my oldest daughter, she saw me crying, and I told myself, like, she can't see me like that. Like, I don't mind being vulnerable with my daughters. Like, anytime we watch a movie or listen to a certain song, like, it's this one song me and my oldest daughter listen to. It's called Someone to Lava. Y'all should really look it up. But it's a song about this volcano, and he felt all alone. And it was a song that he would sing, and it's another volcano woman under the sea who heard his song, but he stopped singing it because he gave up hope that he would find anybody. Like, y'all should really, y'all should really check it out. It's like a cartoon, but it makes me cry every time I like watch it and listen to it, because at some point in time I genuinely did feel alone, or like I really needed somebody to feel whole and complete. Like, I genuinely did feel like that. You know, I thought to myself, like, if I could just have their dad here, if I could just be with him, everything in my life will be fine. You know, but spirit is just like, no, like, that's not a missing puzzle piece. You're the missing puzzle piece, you know. But yeah, it just reminds me of the old me and how I felt, and you know, it was very challenging up until now. Because one, I didn't have friends. You know, I used to be around a lot of people in like middle school, but like as I got older, especially when I got homeschooled, I just really lost all contact with everybody. You know, so it's kind of like having that companion or somebody to love. That was like my main goal. you know. And that's crazy because in that song that I just mentioned to y'all, Someone to Lava, um, he actually mentioned in the song the universe sending him somebody to love. And I honestly feel like my daughters, I was blessed with them, you know, so I can pour all my love into them and also pour love into myself to let them know that, you know, the most important person for you to have and to love is you, you know. So, yeah, it's just been a very beautiful journey out here. Um, Also very hard as well. There's been several days where I just like really cried, you know. But it was that one day I mentioned to y'all when my daughter, she saw me crying, and I don't mind them seeing me cry, but it was that one day in particular I was crying because I wanted me and her dad together. And I got to think to myself like I do not want my daughters seeing me distraught over their dad. Like I need them to see me still healthy. I need them to see me still thriving and making a living and still being able to carry on. Because however I am, that's how they will be. If I'm distraught over a man, if I have no motivation to pursue my passions and my goals because I'm so heartbroken over a guy, they'll grow up and be the same way, you know? So it's like I have to not only, you know, not so much as act like I'm not hurt, but it's like remember that I'm being watched. How I respond to everything, like I am being watched. My daughters see how I'm responding to their dad not being here, and that will be how they respond to a man not being there. You know, if a man's not there, I want them to be able to still be cool, live it, still carry on. You know, you'll feel that pain from time to time, but you know, as long as they're not letting it get so bad to where they're giving up on themselves, you know, but instead sharing their story and helping other people, you know, and that's one thing they will be able to take from me, you know, sharing their story and helping other people. That is something they will take from me, you know, because this whole time, like, I honestly feel like I was dealing with depression, you know, but this whole time of me being out here, I've been out here about, what, a year and a half. I was still inspiring and motivating and helping other people. I was still giving other people advice. And I was battling depression. I was very distraught, not only over not being with their dad, but also losing my grandmother. Those are two very important people to me, and they were taken out of my life. You know, and on top of that, I was pregnant, you know, and working and taking care of my oldest, and it was a lot that I was going through, but even during that time, I still felt the need to put inspirational content out. I still was giving other people advice. I still was being like a tree, basically, you know? And that's just crazy because when I went to the park yesterday, this is what um, this is what I was thinking about, like exactly what I'm talking to y'all about right now. I was thinking about this to myself yesterday in the park, and it's crazy because I actually got rained on. That's what I didn't tell y'all. Yeah, I got rained on when I was at the park, so I was speed walking to my car. And when I got in my car, I looked at the trees, and I'm like, the trees, they're not running, you know? They're just taking it. They're taking it. You know. And I looked at myself, and I'm sitting up there in the car, I had got away from the rain, and it made me think about in the past, like how I would always run from my problems. Because something a lot of people don't know is that before I got out here on my own, I actually was going from house to house. I've lived in like 6 or 7 different households, and then like total moves, I probably moved a good 17 or 18 times before I came out here. Just running from myself, running from my problems, running from my loneliness, running from my dark thoughts, running from my anxiety, just running. If there was conflict, I would run. If it was chaos, I would run, you know. But it's like me being out here to myself, it has allowed me to ground myself, and I've even, like, while I'm out here, I've even had, like, a couple problems with my neighbors, but it's just like, I can't run. This is where I live, It was just one day whenever, something had popped up with my neighbors, and I actually was gonna go to a hotel. So as I was out on the road with my daughters, I got to thinking to myself, I am running from my own place. I'm running from my own sanctuary. I pay bills here, and I'm running from where I pay bills. Like, I got an outsider running me off from my place where I pay the bills. And I hurried up and turned the car back around. I'm like, no, I'm not about to do this. I'm used to doing this. I'm used to running, but I'm not doing that anymore. This is supposed to be my safe place. I have made it my safe place. I have made this my sanctuary. So I can't let anybody run me off from my own place of peace, you know. So that day I confidently came back. I'm like, I'm not no longer allowing circumstances or people to cause me to run. Like, I'm not doing that anymore, you know. So I came back and I actually felt pretty good about it, you know. But me being out here to myself, although I didn't want to, like, that's something I do want people to know. I didn't like, I didn't like wake up one morning like, hey, I want to be alone to be a strong black woman. Like, no, I didn't wake up and want this. I wanted to be with their dad in a happy relationship, happy marriage. That's what I wanted, y'all. But the universe had other plans in place for me, you know. And it's like the plans was to ground me, to strengthen me, and to let me know that, I am whole and complete by myself, and with me being a female and I have female daughters, they will grow up and be just like me, and I do want them to be content with or without people. I do want them to be able to be reliant on themselves. I do want them to be self-sufficient. I do want them to be just like me, because who I was at first, running away from my problems, feeling like I needed somebody, clingy, unhappy if I wasn't in a relationship, like, I don't want them to grow up like that, so it's kind of like, in a way, I'm correcting my own childhood trauma, but through my daughters, through myself, you know, because in my childhood, I just experienced um, a lot of loss, a lot of, like, disconnect. Once again, my dad, he was in a completely different household, because of the divorce. My mom, she had to work, of course, and she'd be very tired from working those 12-hour shifts, so I didn't really get a chance to see her that much. My sisters, I mean, they had boyfriends and did their own thing, so I barely saw them, but I did have this one sister, my older sister, who I was very close to. But she ended up having a family of her own, and she actually moved away. So then it was just little old me, and when it became just me, um, that's whenever um, I kind of dive more into my social life, like having friends and stuff. And I'd be dog when I tried to cling on to my friends. I got homeschooled. So I got pulled away from all of those people. So I even graduated alone. Like, I didn't walk a stage, like, it wasn't a bunch of people around. I got my diploma. My mama told me, good job, you did it. And that was at 16. At 16, my mom, her and my stepdad, they moved to Mississippi. I didn't go. That was a silly decision of my own. But yeah, I stayed behind. And during that time, I was in a different situation to where I still felt alone. But I moved out of that situation, and that's when I moved into my grandmother's house. And of course, I still felt alone. During that whole process, I felt alone. You know, but it's like now, aloneness is my definition of safety. It's my definition of security. It's my definition of peace. You give me an option to go to a party or be alone, I choose alone now. And being alone has always been my biggest fear. That has always been my biggest demon. And it's like I've made peace with my demon. I've made peace with, you know, my own nightmares. You know. So, anybody else who's like um, battling with aloneness, just know you're not alone. I understand where it stems from. I understand your mentality. I understand how you feel. And the one thing about it is the universe or God's job is to strengthen us, you know. And a lot of times for us to be strengthened, we have to go through. Uh, Hold on, y'all. My daughter is upset. What do you want, little lady? Where did Cookie go? Where did Cookie go? I don't know where it went, Leah. I don't know. Oh, there it goes. Here. But a lot of times for us to be strengthened, we have to go through these very traumatic situations. These very unpleasant situations. You know. But it's in that darkness where we find our source of inspiration, our strength, and our determination. We find out how strong we are. Because it's like a person, they can't get strong if they're not working out. If they're not lifting weights. They gotta lift a couple weights. So anybody else dealing with loss, I understand. Bless you. Anybody else who, if you're like me, who when you fear being alone, or just know I was that same way, and the only thing that made me overcome my fear of being alone was being alone. And it hurt really bad, and sometimes it still does kind of hurt, but I've gotten to the points to where I've found the peace in it. I've found the good in it. And it's not until we grow comfortable with who we are, our own company, to where we can share who we are with other people and share our story. But when things don't go our way, y'all, it's for a really good reason. you know it's for a really good reason. you know but yeah, I think I'll go ahead and close this video out. But I did want to share this with you guys to let you know I was not always strong. I was not always um, you know it took going through a couple things. I used to be very clingy, very needy, independent. I used to not have a mind of my own, and it wasn't until I spent time alone. I didn't want to. I had to be forced into this, but it wasn't until I was alone and in one spot to myself where I realized, you know, a lot of things about myself, you know. And I would also say that, like, me being out here to myself, it has actually increased, like, my psychic gifts, my spiritual gifts. So anybody, if you're wondering, like, what your life purpose is, what your spiritual gifts are, what your path is supposed to be in life, the only way you will find out is if you spend some time in silence, some time to yourself, away from the crowd. That's the only way you'll really tap into that. That's the only way you'll find out what you're good at. That's the only way you'll stumble across your passions. You know, you have to spend that time to yourself, you know. So, yeah, I just wanted to record this because, one, it came to my mind, and I just also wanted to share that testimony with everybody to let y'all know I wasn't always like this, and I actually didn't want this. I really didn't want this. I wanted to be happily married somewhere, but God had other plans in mind, and I feel like those plans were to show me that I don't need marriage or relationship to be an inspiration to the world, you know. And yeah, hopefully I can let everybody else know that as well. You're good enough by yourself. You are whole and complete with or without people, and you are so much more stronger than you think. You know, just think of a tree. But yeah, I'll go ahead and let you guys go. Just know I love y'all dearly, and you got it. Everything you're going through is for a reason. It's preparing you for something, and a lot of times when we feel like things are falling apart, or that things are not right, or they're not going our way, it's for a really good reason. Okay? So, yeah, my daughter, she's upset, so I'll go ahead and let y'all go. I love y'all again. Until next time, toodles!